The old St. Mary's Hospital stood at the edge of town, its shadow stretching long over the cracked asphalt of the abandoned parking lot. The red brick facade had once been a beacon of hope, but now its windows were black and empty, like the eye sockets of a corpse. The place had been shut down for nearly 20 years, ever since the scandal. The official reports cited budget cuts and low patient numbers, but the locals knew better. People had died here, too many, too quickly, and always in the same wing. Eric Mathers, a freelance journalist with more ambition than sense, parked his car by the rusted gate and stepped out. The air smelled of damp earth and something faintly metallic. He adjusted the strap of his backpack, double-checking that his camera and flashlight were secure. This story, if he got it right, would be his breakthrough. He'd read about the disappearances, the unexplainable deaths. Patients who had checked in for minor procedures never left. Nurses who had worked the night shifts reported hearing voices, whispers that slithered through the vents, murmuring things no sane person would say. Then there were the children. The last group of patients before the hospital closed had been terminally ill kids. According to the records, they all passed within weeks of each other, despite varied diagnoses. No autopsies, no explanations, just gone. Eric climbed over the gate, his boots crunching against the gravel. The hospital loomed before him, its front doors chained shut. But there were other ways in. Inside, the air was stale, thick with the scent of mold and decay. His flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing peeling wallpaper and scattered debris. Wheelchairs sat abandoned in the hallways, their wheels frozen in time. He moved cautiously, the floor groaning beneath his weight. The silence was oppressive. Then, a whisper. Eric froze. The sound was faint, just at the edge of hearing, like wind slipping through cracks. He swung his flashlight toward the noise, but there was nothing. Just an empty corridor stretching into darkness. His heart hammered, probably just the old building settling. He pushed on, following the faded signs toward Ward 6. The hallway narrowed and the air grew colder. His breath misted in the beam of his flashlight. At the entrance to Ward 6, the doors stood slightly ajar. The plaque beside them was rusted, but the words were still visible. Eric stepped inside. The room was lined with empty beds, their sheets still tucked in, as if waiting for patients who would never return. The windows had been painted over, leaving only slivers of light to cut through the gloom. His camera clicked as he took photos. Then he noticed something strange. The beds were made, but the pillows were indented, as if heads had recently rested on them. Eric swallowed hard. A rustling noise came from the far end of the room. He turned sharply, flashlight trembling. A chair sat in the corner, facing the wall. It began to rock, slowly, back and forth. He took a step back, but the floor creaked beneath him. The chair stopped. Silence. Then, a whisper so close it might have been right against his ear. "Stay." Eric spun around, but no one was there. His pulse pounded in his throat. He needed to get out. He turned for the door and froze. A child stood there, blocking the exit. A little girl, maybe 6 or 7, wearing a hospital gown. Her head was bald, her skin pale as wax, her eyes, black empty voids, locked onto his. "Help us," she whispered. Eric couldn't move. Cold terror rooted him in place. The girl stepped closer, the air around her warped, dark tendrils curling at the edges of her form. The shadows in the room deepened, stretching unnaturally. Then, more whispers. Eric turned his head slightly. The beds weren't empty anymore. Figures lay beneath the sheets, their outlines shifting beneath the thin fabric. The rustling grew louder. Sheets slid off, revealing small, withered bodies. Skin stretched tight over bones. Hollow faces, mouths open in silent screams. The whispering swelled, a chorus of pleading voices. "Help us! Don't leave. It hurts." Eric stumbled back, his foot catching on something soft. He looked down. A dollar. Its glass eyes cracked, its tiny lips parted. It whispered, "She's coming." Eric bolted for the door, shoving past the girl. He expected her to resist, but she crumpled like paper, collapsing into a heap of hospital gown and bones. A scream erupted behind him, high-pitched, inhuman. The walls trembled. Light bulbs exploded in showers of glass. He ran. Eric didn't stop until he burst through the front doors, lungs burning. He staggered down the steps, gasping for air. The hospital stood silent behind him. The whispers had stopped. His hands shook as he fumbled for his car keys. He yanked open the door, slid inside, and locked it. Only then did he dare to look back. The girl stood at the window of Ward 6, her black eyes locked onto his. She raised one hand and waved. The whisper returned, curling through the night air, just loud enough for him to hear. "See you soon."